Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a terrifying reality of mobile security, a flaw you probably think is ancient history. But the truth is, it's a vulnerability baked into our phones for decades, and believe it or not, it's still being used to empty people's bank accounts while they sleep.
So let's kick things off with a story. And I promise you, it sounds like something out of a spy movie, but it is chillingly real. It's a perfect example of why our old ideas about what keeps our phones secure, well, they're just dangerously out of date. So in 2023, a woman over in Guangdong, China, woke up one morning to find this amount, which is about 7,000 US dollars, just gone from her bank account. So you have to ask, how in the world did this happen? Well, the answer is both super simple and incredibly scary. Attackers, using what's called a listening array, which is basically just a really powerful radio antenna, they snatched her bank's text message verification codes right out of the air while she was fast asleep. And this right here, this is the question everyone asks. It's the most common misconception, and honestly, it's the one that leaves millions of people totally vulnerable. So today, we're going to tear that idea apart piece by piece and show you why this threat is actually more relevant now than ever before. All right, let's dive in. To really get this, we have to start at the beginning and understand a massive flaw that was designed into our mobile networks from day one. You could even call it the root of the entire problem. You see, this threat isn't gone. It's just changed shape, and it's become shockingly accessible. I mean, even if your country says they've shut down 2G, your brand new 4G or 5G phone can be tricked into using it. And the scariest part? The gear you need to pull this off now costs less than a video game. So this is basically what happens every time your phone wants to connect to a cell tower. On the surface, it looks pretty secure, right? It's a classic challenge response. The network challenges your phone, and your phone proves who it is. But there is a huge gaping hole in this logic. And here it is. This slide just perfectly illustrates the core problem. Your phone blindly, 100% trusts that the cell tower it's talking to is the real deal. It has absolutely no way to ask, hey, wait a second, are you a legitimate network? And that, my friends, is the original sin of 2G security. You have to remember, this entire security system was built on assumptions from the 1980s, assumptions that are just completely useless today. Back then, the idea that some random person could build a fake cell tower was laughable. It was just too expensive. Now, you could build one for $35. We're running a 1980s security system in a 2026 world. It's wild. Okay, so right about now, you're probably thinking, but come on, surely 4G and 5G fixed this with two-way authentication. And you know what? You're right, they did. They introduced it. But the attackers, they just found a clever way around it. See? Attackers don't even bother trying to break 4G strong encryption. Why would they? Instead, they use something called a downgrade attack. They basically trick your phone into abandoning the secure 4G network and falling back to that old, broken 2G system. Your phone signal might just flicker to an E for a second, and you would probably never even notice. So the really crucial thing to get is how all these little vulnerabilities are chained together to pull off a big attack. Let's actually walk through the play-by-play of that Guangdong theft to see exactly how it works. Just look at this timeline. It's incredible. While the victim was sleeping, this whole thing went down. At 11 p.m., the attackers set up their gear. By 1 a.m., they're already trying to log in. And just seconds later, they intercept the bank's SMS password. The money was gone just 2 minutes after that. It was totally silent, ruthlessly efficient, and she didn't have to do a single thing. And this is the linchpin. The entire attack works because it exploits something we use every single day, something we trust without a second thought. That SMS verification code. The whole industry assumes that if you can get the text, you must be the real owner. But as we've just seen, that communication channel can be tapped way too easily. Okay, so now that we understand the threat, and hopefully I haven't scared you too much, let's talk about what you can actually do to protect yourself. Because it's not hopeless, not at all. Now, what's so great about this slide is just how clearly it lays out the weakness of SMS. Look at the difference. Everything else on this list, an authenticator app, a hardware key, it all generates a code locally, right there on your device. It never has to get sent over those vulnerable airwaves in the first place. So the main takeaway here is that your defense really needs to be layered. There are things you can do in your phone's settings, things you can do to upgrade your account security, and finally, there's just being aware of the warning signs yourself.
So, what's the deal with 5G? Is this whole problem just going to magically disappear as 5G rolls out everywhere? Well, let's look ahead and see if it really solves these deep, deep-rooted issues.
And the answer is kind of, mostly, but not entirely. Look, 5G is a huge step forward, no doubt, especially when it comes to protecting your identity. But the legacy systems it's built on top of mean these risks haven't just vanished. As long as our phones can be tricked into speaking 2G, that door is still open, even just a crack. And this really brings us to the most important point of all. The vulnerabilities we've talked about today, they aren't some shocking new discovery. Security experts have known about them for decades.
So the final crucial point is this. We absolutely know how to build a more secure network. The real challenge isn't the technology. It's getting the carriers to invest the money, getting regulators to actually enforce modern standards, and getting banks to stop using outdated security like SMS. So until they do all that, the question isn't just about the tech. It's about who's really responsible for protecting you.